was kind of an interesting path for me. So when I was like 8 or 9, I decided I wanted to be an anesthesiologist. And at first I think I liked that because it was like the hardest word to spell. So when I got into high school, my thinking was that I would go to college and I would do pre-med and then I would go to med school. So when I started at University of Washington, that was kind of my initial path. I was looking at biochemistry. And I got like a couple quarters into that, and I kind of found out that for me, that path was a little bit too, I mean, dry for a lack of a better word. Like it was going to be a really long time before I would actually be applying the things that I was learning. That really wasn't for me. And then I had a little bit of kind of exploration after that to figure out what I wanted to do, and thought I might go into teaching. And it was actually when I started taking some of the prerequisite courses for doing a master's for teaching that I had to take a geography class, and I absolutely loved it. I think I had always thought that geography was like, name this country on a map, but experiencing like just how broad it really is, the intersection of how space um, impacts everything, space and place impacts every single thing that we do. So I decided, that I was going to major in geography, and I got this printout of the different specialization areas, and GIS was one of them, and I had never heard of it. It was actually my dad who, showing him the list, and he was like, "You should give GIS a shot because that's a pretty practical way to use a geography degree." And I took one class in that, and I was just hooked. It was really, honestly, I was kind of floundering in school a little bit until I found GIS, and it was just that perfect mix of like something that combined my passion for analytics, and my need to be creative with like immediate application to problem solving. It's super powered map software, right? That it lets us overlay all kinds of different information like population density or where species live, and to put that information on a map so that you can see how the spatial interactions kind of play out, and everything in our life is spatial. Right? And so it just helps us to be able to like put that down on paper, kind of see patterns that you might miss if you weren't able to kind of look at all of that stuff on a map. I've always been a pretty creative person. I was and am still a musician. So all through high school, I played cello and flute and was in like every kind of music group I could be a part of, and still play cello and bass guitar as an adult. So like that need for creative expression is pretty strong in me. So, I mean, that was one of the things that like looking at a purely STEM job, I kind of always thought that there'd have to be a trade-off. Like, well, this will be my thing I do in my spare time will be creative, and I'll do my technical job, and those two won't necessarily meet. I've always also really liked problem solving. Like, I really enjoy math. Have always loved geometry, kind of the the math of shapes. So just really ended up being a great thing for me when I found something that like allowed me to have that creative expression because, GIS is cartography too, and has very much has an artistic element to it, and a visual element, and a like being creative about how you present information. You hear a lot that phrase of like how to lie with maps, so there's like both a creative component to it and sort of an ethical responsibility too, which I think is cool. And there's the problem solving, like every day there's some kind of new problem or challenge that me and my team have to figure out. GIS is a tool with very broad applications. So when I first started in my career, it was a pretty new technology, and now it's something that's embedded in just about everything you can think of. But for me, I think it was taking classes that were part of my major too, and like that have more of like that environmental science bent to them that really helped me clarify that that was the direction that I wanted to go. Like I didn't want to, necessarily help mega corporations decide where to put their next store, right? Like I wanted to do something where I felt like I was having a positive impact. Yeah, I really like projects that have an equity and social justice component to them. I really do enjoy doing that type of work where we can look at like not only, where are parks located, but do people have access to the kinds of things that they are likely to use at those parks. So with GIS, it's cool because we'll look at, where is a park? How big is the area where people could walk to that park within 10 minutes? And then what's accessed at that park? And we'll overlay that with data from things like the Census Bureau so that we can kind of make sure that investments for parks are being kind of targeted to where they're needed the most.